but he did give me a phone call, which was very decent, and gave me some information about the dualling of the road, which you'll hear in just a moment. And I know that Liz MacDonald is at another Community Council meeting that's been held in there tonight. I don't know if there's any other apologies. I'd like to move on to correspondence, and I'd start with some correspondence that we did get from Fergus Ewing, and just to put perhaps tonight's business in some sort of a framework, he did finish his, I will read out how he finished his email, that you will have to remember that the way that the project is being funded was first for the fourth crossing, the second fourth crossing, followed by the Aberdeen bypass. Third was the A9 dualling, and then finally the A96. So I don't know if that's meant to be an indication of how long we have to hold our breath for this to actually happen, but it's obviously quite a long and very expensive list being planned by the government. The other long and involved correspondence I've had is with Transport Scotland and Jacobs, who are the design team that are behind all these various different options. And I'd just like to read out the last, some of the last email that has been sent to me by Graham Hurd, who's the head of Jacobs, and really dealing with our particular area of the A96 dualling. And it may just help to clarify some of the problems that were brought up in our last meeting when we considered the various routes that were available. He has replied to me that we recognise the issues for local access for properties to the north and east of Auldearn as a result of the option 2B2F. In other words, that would be an option following the line of the current bypass. We are currently looking at how we can reduce the severance and accessibility impacts for properties located between Boworth House and Wester Hardmuir. As you suggest, a structure under or over the proposed dual carriageway may be needed in order to reduce these impacts. He is also carries on to say that the plans we have published indicate a potential impact on the Auldearn cemetery. However, we do not intend to acquire land from the cemetery from the construction of this scheme. If this 2B2F was progressed, the earthworks design would be amended to avoid the cemetery. Auldearn Primary Schools, again, which on the plans appears to be impacted by that route. He suggests that a band of land would be required there, and we would hope to minimise the land acquisition required and mitigate the impacts on the school playground. He also makes some comments about public transport that are quite lengthy. I won't bore you with them just now. As I said at the last meeting, there is no perfect route that is being proposed for the village. Anybody that thinks there is something that is going to have minimal impact or no adverse effects on the village really hasn't studied these routes. The routes to the south of the village devastate farmland on both sides of the village. They plough through a band of oak woodland that has preservation orders on it. They break up historic pathways around the village, and also alter the communicating roads that come into the village, and in some cases block them off entirely. The route that follows the present bypass appears to have some attractive options. but it also leaves a potentially busy and noisy road very close to the village. It is a constricted route that, as I've just alluded to, comes very, very close to the village cemetery. It also will take, I think, a small portion of land away from the school playground, and also is very close to housing as it leaves the village, and has a frankly impossible conclusion of making the Broomback houses and the houses out to the east of the village almost inaccessible to the village. The northern route, again, is devastating to farmland on both sides of the village. It also affects the access into the village, and certainly as it leaves Auldearn to the eastward, it comes extremely close to farmhouses and businesses that exist at the moment. So we have a very difficult and complicated decisions to make on this road. We've already had one meeting, and I was pleased to see many of the faces that were at that meeting have come back, but many like to see there's a whole group of people that have come along to the meeting, and it is very much the process of this meeting to hear what you think about these routes. We need, as a community council, to have as wide-ranging a viewpoint heard, and then that will now allow us to come to a proper and professional conclusion. So basically, I would like to start by throwing the meeting open to hear your own views about how they might affect you or affect the village, or how you approach those various options. So if there's anybody that would like to start us off in a general or a particular way, don't feel that this needs to be a long contribution. Please put your hand up and let's get the meeting going.